with the way technology and AI is advancing, I'm a true believer that if you're an advisor today and not focusing on the service and experience side of what our clients are doing on a day-to-day basis, then you're missing the mark. I think as an industry, we're going to head that way. I think it'll come down to culture. It'll come down to community. It'll come down to the experience and the service that you're providing. I think everything else within the sector or the industry is much more commoditized, like investment management. At the end of the day, the one thing that technology can't replace is how you were able to make a client feel or take care of and how you truly service them.
Good afternoon and welcome to CBS South Spotlight. If you are here by mistake, you're in the right place now. I am Ted Hikes here with my very esteemed co-host, Mr. Jack Elder, and we are your friendly guides through the world of insurance and wealth management. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have as our new and exciting guest, Mr. Shane Keith, the Vice President of KDI Wealth Management. Shane, welcome. Did I miss anything or did you want to say hello to the audience?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me today, guys. Super excited for the opportunity and looking forward to the conversation.
All right, Shane, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
No, thanks for having me.
This is a home and away because I did your podcast and I had the privilege of talking about different planning techniques that can help protect clients and their portfolios and their wealth. So we're really happy to have you here to talk about your firm. Before I jump into it with specific questions, do you want to tell us a little bit about what makes KDI special?
Yeah. So one, first, thanks for having me today. And two, what makes KDI special? We believe our secret sauce truly is our culture, the way we operate as a team, more familial than anything. We try to create a community for our clients. It's not just from a culture perspective. It's actually a community where that they come together, and our events are focused that way. Our travel is focused that way. And our marketing is focused that way to really create something different in the environment for these clients.
I want to go and focus on that community, travel, all of those things definitely make you unique. Before I get there, and I think that stuff's awesome. It's kind of like what I'm looking at as dessert for this conversation. But before I get there, the wealth management process, onboarding clients, taking care of your clients, setting aside the cultural, or maybe you can't, maybe it's too interwound. What's it like to be a client of KDI's?
Yeah. No, we can talk through some of our process because it's also something, if you talk to any of our operation leads, our operations manager, you will hear process and systems. It's very much ingrained into who we are. But our onboarding process, we have it dialed down to the steps. As much as it is a process, there's just as much conversation internally about the experience for the client as they go through it. How are they feeling? What does it feel like? What does it look like? And so as a client onboards into KDI, not only are we systematically bringing them and moving them on, but we are also looking at it from how does it feel as you move through it.
Yeah. And your clients, what's the average? Like, tell us about your average client, if you have an average.
Yeah. Average client.
Typical. Mm-hmm.
Typical client for KDI sits somewhere in the range of $5 to $6 million is like where our average comes out to.
Is that net worth or assets?
Typical assets under management.
Okay.
And then what that looks like is from a perspective of mostly business owners or women-led households is what we would say where our specialty, or where I feel like if you look at just our book of business in general, women-led households or single or divorced women is where most of our book fits. I think some of that has to do with our founder, Kevin, and some of his upbringing. He was raised by women, but also by the way that he's hired and the culture we built. We feel like that's really our niche market.
Gotcha.
Shane, KDI emphasizes peer-to-peer advising ethos, focusing on balance, ease, and well-being. How do you incorporate these values into your planning process with clients? And maybe before you answer that, give us kind of exactly what is, from KDI's perspective, peer-to-peer advising.
Yeah, no, great question. So peer-to-peer advising, and the reason why you see that is marketed with or branded with by us, is that a lot of advisors in the industry are solely advisors and ultimately been a W-2 employee most of their life. We operate and have led our own businesses. We're entrepreneurs, so we work with a lot of business owners. So when business owners are looking for someone to work with, we're talking truly from a peer-to-peer perspective. We understand P&Ls and we can work through business troubles and different bottlenecks within a business. And so when we're talking peer-to-peer, we are business owners. We ran businesses, we can operate them, and we can speak like to like.
That definitely sets you apart. It's more than just assets under management. It's more than not that that's not critical, or portfolio construction. Obviously those are critical, but those aren't necessarily differentiators like your peer-to-peer or what you mentioned earlier, which is your culture where you're building a community. I'm going to ask you some questions about that community because they get awesome and something very different. And then I get the pleasure to be a part of it in September. But why build a community? Why not just take care of each client individually?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do a lot of internal discussion about this, but it's something that we have been working towards for the last few years. And we really think as the world continues to push towards individualism and push towards, the single individual, we feel like there's a huge need right now. And we feel like industry-wise, we'll probably see a swing there down the road, that it's going to come much back to community and much more to culture down the road. And so we've started to align what we do as a firm around that. What I would say it really started, I guess, kind of the birthplace of it is that we had a lot of widows or singles that were up there in age that were either still wanting to travel or looking to travel, but either didn't feel safe or comfortable to do so or didn't want to travel by themselves. And so the original idea spurred out of that was to create a trip that, one, we could invite our either singles or widows to, and really help create an environment if they're traveling internationally. And that's where our first trip went, which was down the Rhine River, to do so comfortably. And so that's where it all spurred from. And it turned out to be a wonderful event. It's just expanded from there.
What does it do for your clients to have that community?
Yeah, and so this is where that community, even expands from. For the clients, they've created their own friend groups. They're hanging out. They're going to events together outside of KDI at this point in time. They have group messages between each other. It's turned into new friendships, new experiences, new adventures for all of them, and brought them together from all over the country. So,
And what does it do for KDI? It seems like it would be very sticky, right?
Yeah, for sure. So it makes KDI the centerpiece for the friendships that are being created, but it also makes the client, it's so much more than, like you mentioned earlier, Jack, asset management or investment strategy or estate planning or tax strategy or insurance. It's so much bigger than that because it really puts KDI into each of the clients' lives.
And have you helped any of these widows or widowers or singles find new love? Have you had that much success?
That's a good question. I'll plead the fifth on that. So it's
take that as a yes.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
Now, what do you do for Valentine's Day?
So Valentine's Day, and again, it differs year to year, but what I would say is one of the events that we've done and done consistently is, and this kind of goes back to some of our widows, is that we will do a Valentine's Day dinner and invite all of our widowed clients. And so it's one of those days that I would say can be very lonely and be very forgotten by family, by loved ones and other family members, as everybody else is going out and celebrating, love and their relationships. So we try to get all of them together and kind of show them love in that way. We'll also do, and again, it might seem nuanced, but, we used to send just your regular old, like a regular old handwritten note or card. And now we send them I don't know if you guys have seen them. Have you seen those love pop cards that come? It's almost like a picture book. When you open it up, it pops out. So we'll send the love pop cards out to our widows and widowers on Valentine's Day or on their anniversary as well. Just letting them know we're thinking about them.
It's very nice.
It really is.
So tell me, Shane, about the typical, if there is one, KDI client.
Yeah. So I would say our typical KDI client we have two really subsets: business owners, which is where, if you see us speaking to peer-to-peer advising, that's where you'll see a lot of what we do from a business aspect perspective. But I would say majority of our clients are either women-led households or women-included households, where we're working with a relationship with the women's included, or we're working with a relationship where the women's leading the household, may that be. And again, a lot of that has to do with it goes back to our founder, Kevin, who was raised by women, and most of the practice has been built around either single or divorced women or widows. But that's kind of the overall basis of what a typical KDI Wealth client looks like.
Nice.
So Shane, you talked originally or in one of our first segments about the first trip that you did, the first travel trip that you did for KDI and your clients. And that was a trip down the Rhine River, which is one of the things that's on my bucket list. But I understand you've got another one planned, perhaps up to Iceland. I'd love to hear a little bit about that. When does that take place? And how did that decision come about to kind of hit Iceland?
Yeah. So Iceland, where it came from is that we do client surveys. That's actually part of if you're looking at us as an organization, we do a ton of surveying of our clients, right? But now after every trip, we'll survey hey, what looks like the next best destination? And so we'll look at survey results, see where clients are wanting to go. And Iceland was one of the top picks. So we'll be cruising around Iceland next year.
You're going to go north of it. You're going to go around, circumnavigate the whole island.
Yep, we're going to be going around the whole island, and it's going to be timed. I believe the pre-trip or the post-trip will actually catch the solar eclipse in 2026. Wow. And so I think the post-trip extends to Norway, and then you're in solar eclipse time. So could be really cool.
That's a lifetime trip right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I've always wanted.
Jealous.
Yeah, Iceland's on the list for me and Jenny. We've always wanted to go there.
Hey, you're more than welcome to join.
Yeah, there we go. No excuses now, right?
Well, Jenny has to divorce you first, Jack. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And then hopefully she doesn't meet somebody on the trip because KDI is not a matchmaker. Got it.
Well, let's just preface real quick that it started that way. It did start with a lot of singles, widows, widowers, and it started that way, but it's become much more of just a community event at this point in time. So you got the whole mix of couples to singles to everyone. It's just become a big KDI Wealth event. And next year we'll also be doing a domestic trip. So because we have some clients that just aren't traveling internationally anymore. So we'll be doing domestic, most likely late June, somewhere around that time frame for Hawaii. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Can't go wrong with Hawaii.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah. All right. So to bring it back to a little bit more focused, at least on one day, I'm have the honor of participating at the Wealth and Wellness Workshop that bridges, healthy lifestyle with healthy, wealthy lifestyle, right? So what's the genesis and why health and wealth together? And I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. So this is another one, Jack, that goes back to, this will be our 4th annual. So it goes back a couple of years, and it started as a women's health and wellness symposium. So it started focused towards women. And then we started having a few saying, hey, can our husbands come? Can we have these guys come? And so it's where it started to get a little bit larger, a little bit more traction. And we wanted to tie it into not just, the wealth side and the wealth aspect where we're looking at estate or tax or insurance or investments in that perspective, but we're also looking at it from a perspective of your overall. If we are truly being the wealth advisors we should be looking at your life goals and managing to life, not just investments.
Yeah, strong agreement. I agree. Strong. That's something growing in our industry as well, including some life insurance companies, one in particular that has embraced this ethos And it's, I think, been great for them as well, right? There's an interest in all of us. Like, even if you're just being self-centered, that's more AUM to manage. That's more premiums collected, because people are living longer and living better.
Right.
You
No, 100%.
can't enjoy your wealth without your health. So they fit together perfectly.
Yeah. There's this idea or this framework around, your lifespan, right? Which could be 10 to 15 to 20 years longer than your health span, right? It's like, how healthy am I living? And so the difference between the two is like, how many years do I have lifespan where it's not actually where I'm out of health where I can use any of it? So
I even think there's an attachment there to the idea of inheritances. As people live longer, I am watching inheritances hit families when kind of like basically don't need it anymore, right? Like when I have little kids and I have a mortgage and I have school debt, or I'm sorry, maybe school debt and saving for school, it would be nice to get a little advance on that inheritance. Instead, it's happening kind of like, okay, mom and dad have crossed like at least the accumulation part of their life, and they're in decumulation now, and now they get the inheritance, and it's like the value of it just kind of went down. Now it's just going to go into their savings. Have you seen that too?
yeah, yep. Yeah, it's more of a migration of, with people living longer, unless they're shifting, because you're also seeing culture shift, depending on which generation you're talking about, where mostly boomers are in that traditional mindset of, hey, when I pass, your inheritance will come, where you're starting to see some of the Gen X and even millennial generations start sharing inheritances or getting to watch their kids or grandkids enjoy some of the fruits that they've been able to save.
Yeah. That's a podcast for another day. I'd love to talk about that very subject.
Yeah.
As we look to the future, what do you see for the future of financial services? What do you like? Look into the crystal ball and share with us your perspective.
Yeah. I'm a true believer, and I think the industry and with the way technology and AI is advancing, I'm a true believer that if you're an advisor today and not focusing on the service and experience side of what our clients are doing on a day-to-day basis, then you're missing the mark. I think as an industry, we're going to head that way. I think it'll come down to culture. It'll come down to community. It'll come down to the experience and the service that you're providing. So I think everything else within the sector or the industry is much more commoditized, like investment management or but when it comes at the end of the day, the one thing that technology can't replace is how you were able to make a client feel or take care of and how you truly service them.
So you see that as kind of the key differentiator in the future?
Yes, I think, and we touched on it a little bit earlier in the podcast, but I think if KDI as a company can create that community that we're striving towards with all of our clients, right? I think it is going to be the difference maker into how we grow at long term.
Yeah. And I could see with some of the stuff that you're doing, these trips, generationally, as you're taking care of mom, the next generation, they have a love affair with KDI that hopefully will continue on, as that money moves from generation to generation, which certainly puts KDI in a positive business position going forward.
Yeah, completely agree. And we're already seeing it with some of these some of these trips where you're getting to see, it's the grandparents bringing, the parents and the grandkids, all of them on the trip together, right? So they're all getting some sort of intro to KDI. Yeah, and something that we do a little additionally there is just as part of the way we operate, we'll do legacy planning meetings to where we can meet the next generation or bring the next generation in sooner. One, to make sure that there's no big estate fight at the end of life, and try to avoid any sort of complexities. Gives us a chance to meet the kids and also share the parents' wishes or grandparents' wishes from a third party. So it could be less contentious in that way. When we're saying it, this is what's intended, this is the hope, this is the dream, this is what they've worked for. It makes it a little bit less adversarial if it's depending on your family situation.
Yeah, I could also see like if you have someone coming and she brings a friend, from her pickleball or whatever, and that's not your client, it's going to be really easy for that individual to see the community and want to be a part of it, and to know and get live testimonials all around her about how KDI has been a positive impact on their lives beyond just asset management. That's given.
Yeah. It's funny you bring pickleball. We just finished our pickleball event up here in Payson. So, and it's exactly that. We have everyone bring their friends and just make it a fun event. All it is pickleball, but just hanging out and being around good people.
Nice. Hopefully no torn Achilles while you're there.
No major injuries.
Knock on wood.
Shane, thank you so much for taking the time to connect with us. We really appreciate it. Any last thoughts or comments from you before we wrap it up?
No, I just want to say thank you guys both. It was a pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you, and I appreciated speaking on your podcast. We'll have to see which one gets more downloads and more listens. Just to hear the same two people yakking at each other. Appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everyone out there, I'm Ted Hikes, and Jack
Elder from CBS Brokerage.
This has been CBS Spotlight, your friendly conversation about insurance and wealth advising come together. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure to rate us 5 stars. We appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.